Hello. Today I want to talk about guides and spirit guides. We've all heard the term. Some of you might know what that means, and some of you might not. And I have never met anyone that doesn't have a spirit guide. We've all got them, and quite a lot of them sometimes, depending on what's going on. And if you're learning something or going through a stressful time. So, what are spirit guides? We are very physical beings, but we're also spiritual beings. So we're spiritual beings in a physical body, and we are born, we come into the world with a bit of a bump, and we come from the divine soul collective. Our sort of divine soul energy arrives, and there we are. And when we're born, we come with very specific guides that I interpret are with us throughout our lives. And they are like our guardians. They look after us, they work with us and guide us no matter what, whether we perceive them or not. So, what is a guide? A guide is a very high vibrational being, and they come with many gifts themselves, and they work on quite a high frequency. Because you might say, oh, bother, why can't I see them like I can see my friend I'm having a coffee with? And the main reason for that is because the earth energies, in compared to sort of the energies of spirit, are quite dense, and guides and the angels inhabit quite high frequency energy. So imagine a radio dial being quite like a low frequency or a high frequency. They live in the realms of high frequency, and the physical earth is kind of a lower frequency. So it's quite tricky for them to be sort of really physically present in the earth realms. Um, but we can perceive our guides and see them on a sort of in a different kind of way. And um, a really good thing to do is, if you are wanting to perceive your guides, the practice of sitting quietly, being in nature, being still is kind of really helpful. If you're jangling around in disco or driving your car or being really loud and making loads of noise, it's really hard to perceive your guides, but they are there no matter what. So I would suggest sit quietly and shut your eyes and ask to start perceiving your guides. And you might just get a feeling. You might get a feeling, you might get a feeling of warmth, or you might get a sense of a colour, you might get a sense of a kind of physical being, you might get a sense of a being of light. You initially you might not get anything at all, but don't worry. Just keep sitting and asking and asking to connect with your guides and ask them to help you to perceive them. The way they work with us quite often is, you know, when you get that intuition, and it's called intuition because you are being guided in a way to not go to that party or make that phone call to that person or check your oil on your car or check your brakes or apply for that job or don't move to that area or don't move to that house. That's where your inner guidance and your guides will be working with you very strongly. And yeah, everybody I have worked with has really beautiful guides, and sometimes I can perceive them as clear as day, as crystal clear as day. And other times they might be beings of light, and they often can take a physical form, as in a recognizable human form, I have a guide who's been with me for as long as I can remember. He's very tall and sort of slim. Sometimes he appears like he's 10 or 12 feet tall. Sometimes he feels like he's 8 feet tall. He's just definitely very tall. He's got a very human, lovely old face. He looks ancient, and he has blue eyes, and he has a really calming, centered, very nurturing presence. And when I give healings, he is often with me. Um, and then I've got 2 or 3 other ones that I work with regularly. And one of them is a being of kind of, she's a very light energy, a being of light. And it's hard to perceive her in a physical form. She is lovely golds and blues and all these amazing colours, and she is about the size of a human being. And years ago, I had a tiny guide who was probably she was about 3 foot tall, and she had beautiful, she was like a sort of almost looked like an angelic child in a way. She had a beautiful energy, and she was lovely colours of lilacs and golds and pale purples. She had tiny little hands. She was very joyful. So when she came, I used to feel this incredible amount of joy. Um, and they're all very different. And I have had guides. We always think they're going to be like an Egyptian princess or a Native American elder. Um, they can be almost kind of, a little bit more mundane than that. They're not always amazing spiritual beings. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. It's nearly lunchtime. And yeah, I have had guys that I've worked with that really make me laugh. So when they come through, I really can perceive them because my heart is sort of, it just bursts open with joy, and I really want to laugh, which is not appropriate if I'm with a client. So I've had to stifle giggles on occasions. But everybody I have worked with has always had these beautiful energies with them. Quite often, people will have sort of angelic beings and guides without a doubt. They're always there, and they're always gunning for us, whether we can feel them or not. And I will do at some point a meditation on how to connect to your guides and how to sort of visualize them. But trust your intuition. If you sit down quietly and you get in the habit of sitting quietly, light a candle or go for a walk and sit in a log, doesn't matter, and sit quietly and just center yourself and breathe and put yourself in a calm state, and just ask to perceive your guide and trust what comes. Don't take my word for it. Trust your own intuition. That's really important. And you will start to build a relationship with them. And just on a final note, quite often if we're learning something or we're going through something stressful, we might get guides specific to those tasks in life. So if you're learning to paint, you might get guides that work on that level. If you're learning to do something quite technical, you'll get them who work with those things. And I've always had quite kind of what I would call medical guides, because I work with supporting clients both emotionally and physically for healing. So it purely depends. And I also have 2 little quite mischievous guides that come through. I call them the shopping bag ladies because they're like two ladies that go shopping and are chit-chatting, and they come in at the beginning of a healing and they chit-chat about the energy and me starting work, and I can't always hear quite what they're saying, but they're kind of hilarious. And then at the end of the healing, they will be talking to each other, and I'll think, can you just be quiet, please? Because they'll say, oh, lovely, look at that, that's all done. Oh, yeah, all finished, all done and dusted. Oh, lovely, look at that, and they just talk like that. So, yeah, they can be in many different forms, and trust your own intuition when you start to perceive yours.